Hello everyone, in this video we are going to learn problems about volumes of cones. So let's get started. In order to find the volume of a cone, we need to know the radius, okay? So R right over here is the radius. Radius is R. And we need to know the height, okay? The height. The height is going to be H in the formula. So the formula for the volume of a cone is 1/3 times pi times r squared times h. So we can also write this as V for volume. V is equal to pi times r squared times h divided by 3. Because multiplying by 1/3 and dividing by 3 are the same. Alright, so once again, the radius is actually the radius of the base, because base is a circle. As you can see, this is a circle, so the radius of the base, and the height is gonna be this distance. Okay, so in some questions you may be given the diameter, so we need to know that diameter is always 2 times radius. Let's not forget this. Diameter is always 2 times radius. In order to find the radius, we need to divide diameter by 2. Okay? So D for diameter, D divided by 2 is going to give us the radius. Alright? So let's get started. Let's solve a few problems. Let's start with this one. Alright, we're gonna use pi 3.14. Okay? Let's write the formula first. The volume is equal to pi times r squared times h divided by 3. So what is r? R is the radius, okay? So let's write r is equal to 3 because this is the radius of the cone. The radius of the base. This is the base. Base is a circle, so this is going to be the radius. And the height is going to be 5. This is height, so height is going to be 5. I'm going to write h is equal to 5. All right, so in the formula it says r squared, right? So we know that r squared is actually r times r. We multiply the base by itself twice to get the r squared. Okay, so in the formula I'm going to write v equals pi times, instead of r squared, I'm going to write r times r. R times r times height. H. So divide by multiplied by h over 3. So that's going to be pi is 3.14. 3.14 times r is 3. I'm going to write 3 and 3 again. And then height. What is height? Height is 5. Divided by 3. Okay? So all these are combined by multiplication. Once again, this is our pi. This is the radius. This is also the radius. And this is height. h. And we're going to divide that by 3 in order to find the volume. Alright, so we're going to use our calculator. Let me take out my calculator. And alright, so let's multiply 3.14 by 3. And I'm going to multiply that by 3 again, times 3, and then times 5. It's going to give us the numerator. 141.3 is the numerator. 141.3 divided by 3. So let's just divide this by 3. So divided by 3 is going to be 47.1. 47.1 cubic yards. It's going to be the answer, okay? 47.1 cubic yards. So this is the volume of this cone. Let's do another example. A cone has a height of 7 yards, so h is equal to 7. Let's write all the information that's given. Radius is 2 yards, so r is going to be 2. What's the volume? So let's write the formula for the volume. So that's going to be pi times r squared times h divided by 3. But instead of r squared, I'm going to write r times r, pi times r times r times h divided by 3. Alright, so the volume is going to be, pi is 3.14 as you can see, 3.14 times, the radius is 2 times, again the radius is 2 times the height is 7, h is 7, divided by 3. So let's take out our calculator. 3.14 times 3.14 times 2 times 2 times 7. That's going to be our numerator, 87.92. And then if we just divide this by 3, let me write that down, 87.92 divided by 3 is going to give us the answer. So I'm going to divide that by 3. So that's going to be 29.306 keeps going on forever, right? 29.306 keeps going on forever. But it says round your answer to the nearest hundredth. So this is the nearest hundredth place. This is the 100th place, so I'm gonna look at the next number. If the next number is greater than 5, I'm gonna round this number up. So as you can see, it is 6. So 29.31 is going to be the answer. 29.31 is the answer. That's gonna be yards, cubic yards. Okay, 29.31 cubic yards. Alright, so let's do another example. Alright, so in this example, the volume is given. This is another type of example. So the volume is given. So let's write V is equal to 1256. And then the radius is the question here. So the radius is the question. Height is also given, as you can see in the figure. So we're going to write h is equal to 12 centimeters. Once again, volume 1256. Right, so let's write the formula first. The volume is equal to pi times r times, because r squared, times h divided by 3. Alright, so the volume is 1256 is equal to, let's write 3.14, this is the pi. So the radius is the question, we don't know what that is. So actually instead of r times r, I'm going to write r squared times height. What is height? 12. Okay, and then divided by 3, right? Divided by 3. So now we can make a cross product, okay, a cross multiplication to get the r squared. So as you can see, 1256 is actually 1256 divided by 1, because we can divide any number by 1 and we get the same number, okay? And then 3.14 times, so I can change the places of r squared and 12 because all these numbers are combined by multiplication. So I can change the order. 12 times r squared divided by 3. And then let's do the cross multiplication. 1256 times 3 is going to be equal to, I'm going to write that down here, 1256 times 3 is going to be equal to 1 time 3.14 times 12 times r squared. So if you multiply a number by 1, we are going to get the same number. So we can just write 3.14 times 12 times r squared. So let me put these also in brackets. Right, so let's find 1256 times 3. Alright, 1256 times 3, that's going to be 3768. 3768 is going to be equal to, and 3.14 times 12. Let's find 3.14 times 12. So that's going to be 37.68 times r squared. So now in this case, in order to find the r squared, I have to divide this number 3768 by 37.68. Okay, so r squared is just gonna be, I'm gonna divide this number by this number, 3768 divided by 37.68. So that means if you just divide this number by this number, you're gonna get 100. R squared is gonna be 100. And then that means r is equal to square root of 100. Okay, r is square root of 100. So that means r is going to be square root of 100 is going to be 10. So the radius of this cone is going to be equal to 10. Let's look at this example. A cone has a height of 17 inches, h is 17, and a diameter of 28 inches. So in order to find the volume, we need the radius. Okay, so let's write that down here. The volume is pi times r squared, which is r times r, times h divided by 3. We know the height, we know the pi, we don't know the radius, but we know the diameter. So the diameter is 28. And let's just remember, diameter divided by 2 is going to be the radius. So the radius is half of diameter. So 28 divided by 2, 28 divided by 2 is the radius. So that means 28 divided by 2 is 14. So the radius is going to be 14. Okay? So let's just continue calculating this volume of this cone. So the pi is 3.14 times the radius is 14 squared, which is 14 times 14, and height is going to be 17 divided by 3. Let's take out our calculator. So let's multiply 3.14 by 14 and multiply by 14 again and multiply by 17. So this is our numerator, and we have to divide this by 3 in order to get the answer. So let's divide this by 3. So the answer is going to be 3,487. 3,487.493 keeps going on. 493 keeps going on forever. So it says, round your answer to the nearest hundredth. So this is the hundredth place. I'm going to look at the next number. The next number is smaller than 5. That means I'm going to round down. That means the answer is going to be approximately 3487.49. Okay, because if the next number is less than 5, we just don't do anything right over here. Okay, that's gonna stay as 49. If the next number is greater than or equal to 5, then we are gonna round up. That means the 49 is going to be 50. Okay, that's gonna be the volume of this cone. So we can also write cubic inches. Let's do the next example. So in this case, we have the volume and we don't know the height. So we are going to find the height, okay? So, and we know the radius. So the volume is 376.8 cubic yards and the radius is 6 yards. Let's write the formula. The volume is equal to pi times r squared, which is r times r, times height divided by 3. First we can write all these values and then we can do cross multiplication. After cross multiplication, we're going to find the height. So the volume is 376.8 divided by pi is 3.14. 3.14, I'm going to use brackets. You don't have to use, but let's just use brackets. So the radius is 6 times 6. And the height, we don't know what the height is. So divided by 3. So just remember the previous example. We can write this as 376.8 divided by 1. And we can do the cross multiplication. This numerator by this denominator. So 376.8 times 3 is going to be equal to 1 time this numerator. Okay, so the denominator times numerator, the cross multiplication. So 3.14 times 6 times 6 times height. Alright, so 376 times 3, let's find that, 376.8 times 3 is going to give us 1130.4, and let's multiply 3.14 by 3.14 times 6 and multiply by 6 again. We're going to get 113.04. 113.04. And also we have times h, right? Alright, so now this is not a decimal point, this is a multiplication, by the way. This is a multiplication. Alright, so now we can divide this by this in order to get the height. Okay, so the h is gonna be 1130.4 divided by 113.04. So that's gonna be 10. Okay, you can also use your calculator, but as you can see, the numerator is 10 times the denominator, so height is going to be 10 yards. Okay, height is going to be 10 yards in this example. Alright, so let's look at the last one. So the last one, the diameter is given. Okay, not the radius, the diameter is given. So d is equal to 10, so the radius is going to be the diameter divided by 2, so that's going to be 5, okay? The radius is always half of diameter. So divide diameter by 2, divide 10 by 2, you're going to get 5. 5 is the radius, okay? 5 is the radius. So the radius right over here it's gonna be 5. Right, so now we are gonna use the formula. The volume is pi times r times h divided by 3. So the pi is 3.14 multiplied by the radius is 5, and radius is 5, and the height is 15 divided by 3. Okay, so let's find 3.14 multiplied by 5, and then multiply by 5, and then multiply by 15, and we're gonna divide this by 3. Divided by 3, that's gonna be 392.5 cubic inches.